Do you know who Paul Krugman is? No, you don't, because he writes for the New York Times, and you don't read the New York Times, which I read, so you don't have to, so you're forgiven. Krugman, K-R-U-G-M-A-N. By the way, before I get into what he said would happen to the economy after Trump's election in November 2016, there was a study that a graduate student in economics from George Mason University did. He looked at 15, 17 major economists in the country. He did a little experiment. When there's a Democrat in office versus a Republican in office, do they change their point of view on things like deficit spending, which is to spend more money than we have? Out of the 17, 15 major economists in the country, virtually none of them changed their point of view whether there was a Democrat in the office or whether there was a Republican in the office. But one prominent economist did change his view, Paul Krugman. When Republicans were in office, it was just horrible. They were engaging in deficit spending, spending more money than we have. It's horrible, horrible, horrible. When Democrats were in office, he said something entirely different. So deficit spending is not bad. You know, as long as you're spending the money on this, that, and the other. So it's only one who changed his view substantially, depending upon whether one of his guys in office, Democrats, because he's a Democrat, or Republicans. There's a word for that. It's called being a hack. Now, that said, I'm holding in my baby brown libertarian fingers November 9, 2016, op-ed by Paul Krugman, who is a professor of economics, and he writes a regular column for the New York Times. In fact, reportedly, the Obama administration offered him a job, but he said, no, I have far more influence by writing a column with the New York Times than I would if I were to be a member of your economic team. So this is how prominent he is, what a big deal he is, and all the Democrats on the Hill read him. November 9, 2016, which is Wednesday. Quote, the disaster for America and the world has so many aspects that the economic ramifications are way down my list of things to fear. Under any circumstances, writes Paul Krugman, November 2016, putting an irresponsible, ignorant man who takes his advice from all the wrong people in charge of the nation with the world's most important economy would be very bad news. So, he concludes, now comes the mother of all adverse effects. And what it brings is a regime that will be ignorant of economic policy and hostile to any effort to make it work. So we are very probably looking at a global recession with no end in sight. I suppose we could get lucky somehow, but on economics, as on everything else, a terrible thing has just happened. End of quote. And what did we get under the first Trump administration? Solid economy, very low inflation, gas prices 50% lower than what they are or what they were at the end of the Biden administration, secure border, no new wars. Is this thing on? Now, you would think normally that somebody like Krugman would write an article and say, I just blew it, I was wrong. I should give the man the benefit of the doubt this time, but he's not doing that.